Hi everyone, Allison here, and welcome to another episode of What I Know. So, today I actually want to talk about being in service to spirit and how that looks, what that looks like for you. Are you in service to spirit? How do you communicate with spirit? How do you address spirit? Is it God? Is it Jesus? Is it the universe? Is it your ancestors? How do you address spirit? And regardless of how you address spirit, are you actually working in service to spirit? Are you working for the greater good? Are you listening to the signs, the symbols? Are you listening to those things to basically do what you can to help everyone, yourself, your family, your community? How are you actually doing that? There are many different ways to communicate with spirit. Are you using a pendulum? Are you using oracle cards? Are you using tarot cards? Are they communicating to you directly through angel numbers? And if they are you actually listening to that communication? So first I want to say that being in service and communicating with spirit is not easy. It's not. It sounds wonderful and it sounds great, and it's hey, I'm doing this, but really and truly, I'm here to tell you, it is fracking difficult as crap. When I say difficult, I mean like some people will tell you, oh, it's sweetness, it's light, it's butterflies and fairies. It's not all of that. Some days it's going to be dark. Some days you're going to have to address yourself. Some days you're going to have to look in the mirror and basically deal with the person you are. And for me, that's what dealing with spirit is. It's like getting through your crap, getting rid of all of your issues and all of your insecurities and all of the things that people have told you over the years that you're not good at, or whatever insecurities or issues that you have. It's kind of like fluffing those off so that when people come your way, when it's time for you to be in service and be of assistance, you've actually done the work. You've actually put in the time. You've actually said, you know what, I'm here to help, and I can help based on my experience. And for me, working in service to spirit is experiential, and based on your experience, you'll get people to come your way that maybe have the same experience or similar experience, that you can actually either help them or guide them in conjunction with what spirit is telling you. Most of the time, it's going to be difficult work. It's going to be sharing pieces of yourself that you really don't want to share, seeing pieces of yourself that you really don't want to see. It's going to be doing shadow work. It's going to be doing those things that makes you so uncomfortable. Sometimes you literally curl into a ball in the corner or in your bed. You don't want to leave your bed because you don't want to face those things about yourself. But that is what spirit is asking you to do the shadow work, to do the difficult work. So when it is time for you to step forward and lend a helping hand or do what it is that they're asking you to do, whether or not it's be an herbalist, or whether or not it's grow a community garden, or be a public speaker, or start your own business in service of, like, all of these things are really important, and you have to do the work in order to be that person who is going to be the guiding force for either other people. And sometimes you don't even have to be the guiding force. Sometimes working in service with spirit doesn't necessarily mean you're doing anything at all. It just means that you are being who you are, and people will see that and want to emulate you or want to do what you're doing without even coming to you. So sometimes you don't even really recognize or understand that you are working in service to spirit. It's really, it's some big things. It's some difficult things. I'm here to tell you, I've been through it and I'm still going through it. And there are days when I want to tell spirit to F off. I don't want to do this. It is too difficult. It is outside of my comfort zone. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to talk to people or tell people XYZ or share my personal stories with people because it's my personal story. I don't necessarily feel like sharing. And what happens when I don't listen is that I end up spinning my wheels. I end up taking steps back. I end up doing things that I'm not supposed to do, and feeling really uncomfortable doing these things. But you know what? I have to step up when when I don't listen, when I am quote unquote disobedient, I can't move forward. And I have been there where I have been not punished per se, as in, oh my God, you're punished by a parent, but it's like you can't seem to get out of your own way. And if you're stubborn like me, and some days you don't want to do the shadow work, you don't want to do the work, you don't feel like, you want to do anything but really try to help yourself and move through, sometimes it just doesn't work. And they'll leave you alone at times. They really will. But once they do, it's like, okay, if you want to do it your way, do it your way. And I do it my way. I do it my way. And guess what happens? I absolutely get nowhere. So I'm not certain if anyone else out there have had this experience. Anyone out there just feel like, hey, I don't want to do it today. In fact, I would appreciate it if you all would just leave me alone. And sometimes I find myself saying that. Could you leave me alone? Could you give me a break? I'm tired of curling into a ball. I'm tired of peeling the onions and the layers off of myself. But I come back to it and I do the work and I step out of my comfort zone. And sometimes stepping out of my comfort zone means that I am going to get whether or not it's attacked or whether or not it's people that are super upset with me, like how dare I tell them about themselves? How dare I say anything? And it's at times people who have asked me for information, whether or not it's in a direct way, whether or not it's in a roundabout way, whatever way it is. If Spirit says, hey, Allison, it's time to open your mouth and say XYZ, I've learned not to ignore it, because when I ignore it, it doesn't go well for me and it doesn't go well for other people. So are you in service, and what does your in service looks like? Ask for assistance and really ask for help. You can do that. It doesn't have to be you getting down on your knees and saying, oh, great Spirit, or oh, great God. Whatever you choose to do, you can do it. You can just simply say, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to listen. I am ready to be of service. I'm ready to do the work that I'm supposed to do. And Spirit will carry on and they'll help you and they'll guide you. Whether or not it is you, seeing the angel numbers, or you saying, hey, you know what? I have the urge to pull an oracle card today, or a tarot card, or pull out my pendulum and use my pendulum today. There are many different ways to communicate with Spirit. It's just a matter of what way feels comfortable to you and how are you going to do it moving forward, and what's your next steps. What does that look like for you? Ultimately, the work is yours and the work is experiential, and no one can tell you your experience and what you've been through and how you've been through it is not the right way to do things. And if someone tries to tell you that, that's somebody that you eventually won't listen to, because you'll have your own way. You'll have your own way to hear the higher power, the higher self, God, your ancestors. You'll have your own way to communicate, and you'll know what to do. And the truth is, sometimes you won't even know if you're doing the right thing. I've been in that situation where, I've said something or I've done something and I have to turn around and question it, like, did I do the right thing? Did I say the right thing? Did I give the right information? help me out here. And they'll send you signs if you're asking for help. Whether or not a sign is a friend coming to give you information, my rule of thumb is if I hear the same thing 2 to 3 times in a week to 2 week time span, it means that that's something that I need to pay attention to. It's something that I need to focus on. And that's happened to me quite a few times when I'm not certain, when spirit is communicating with me and either I don't hear, I don't understand, I don't want to do it. They'll find different ways to tell me, hey, Allison, I need you to take your head out of you know where and get this ish done immediately. And when that time comes, I know that I need to get it together and I need to do what it is that they're telling me to do, because it's not just for my greater good, it's for the greater good of maybe the people that are coming my way. Being in service doesn't have to be a big production. It just has to be you listening and you following the information that you are given. So I mentioned that being in service to spirit, it's not all sweetness and light. I do have to say it is sometimes sweetness and light when you've gone through transformative work and you've peeled off a couple of layers of that onion of that person that is you, and you feel good for the next couple of days or couple of weeks, like, oh my God, like I have just dumped a whole lot of luggage, a whole lot of baggage, and I feel absolutely amazing. That's when the sweetness and light comes in. Not so much when you're peeling the onion. That definitely doesn't feel good. But when you've made a difference in someone's life and they've come to you and mentioned that you've made a difference, or they were going through such a hard time and something that you've done or something that you said because you listened made a world of difference for them, those are the sweetness and light times. Those are the times that feel amazing and feel good. And it makes you want to continue because you're like, oh, okay, I get it now. I see I am on the right track. I am on the right path. So while it isn't all doom and gloom and not all sweetness and light, there are times when you do understand, you do feel it. And the more you feel it, it's like a momentum. The more good you do, or the more good you feel like you've made in someone's life, the more you want to actually continue doing it and continue listening. So when those dark times come, and they will come, and you will have to face your shadow self, you will have to face the insecurities, just remember through the good times that, you know what, you do make a difference. You have made a difference. And that's all that you can ask for. It's not just about you. It's about the people. It's about your community. It's about your family. It's about your friends. And those feel-good moments are moments that you absolutely should feel proud of and absolutely should hold on to, because you're walking the path that you should walk. You're doing the things that you should do. And even if you veer off the path just a little bit or stop listening just a little bit, you know what? Sometimes there are things that comes along that puts you right back on that path. And that's okay if you veer off. That is all about your life experience, the difficulties you've gone through. It's fine that you've gone through these difficulties. Life wouldn't be life if you didn't go through the difficulties. But the difficulties really don't outshine the goodness. And in fact, it's a balance. Everything is a balance. You want to balance yourself. You want to balance your life. You want to balance your light and your dark. It's okay at times if you feel like, oh my God, I really don't feel like doing this today. It's okay. You're a human being. I've heard the saying, you're a spirit living a human existence. And just remember that. Cut yourself some slack. Give yourself some credit. Be okay with your light side. Be okay with your dark side. We all have them. The trick I found is that you just need to learn how to balance them. Some days are going to be lighter than others. Some days are going to be darker than others. But once you get into the habit of understanding that balance is the key to listening and to dealing with what you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, For me, it actually makes life goes by just a touch easier. Not all the way easier, but definitely just a touch easier. And that's all I have to say about spirit and being in service to spirit.